coming across the border and I saw your ass running at me, I'd be really pissed off about America. I'd be like, this is not what I signed up for.
So I pulled over a dude one time. It turned out to be a pretty big case. It was a black dude on the border and going the wrong direction. In all my investigative questions, I knew he was there smuggling.
Going back to the other side?
Going towards the border. I just saw him pulled over and looking at his tires. And I'm like, this doesn't look right. Let me see if he needs help. But also, it's an area that usually picks up dope. So he's already in the wrong place. And I'm like, let me go check this dude. In that area that I was at, there's not a lot of black kids. So there we go. Another suspicion, wow, weird. Going the wrong direction. This is strange, man. Why is this dude here? This location that always people. Okay. So hey man, what's up, man? You need help? He goes, oh no, man. It was just my tire. I was like, well, which one is it? And so as I'm doing all that, I'm like, hey, what are you doing here, dude? He was like, I was just and he's not answering. I'm like, I'm gonna ask you one more time, big guy. I was like, are you here supposed to pick up dope? When you're in the special operations side of things, after the 2 years when I was able to try out, that's when my eyes got really open to how much cartel activity happens on the borders. And you hear about it, you see the dope from them, you see the kind of identifying markers for each different kind of cartel little faction. But when you're filing special operations and the mission is to disrupt and dismantle, the cartel, that's when you really start to understand the intel behind it. And that's when I was finally privy to all that information.
What was in those first 2 years, what was the schedule like for you? Are you on for 3 straight weeks and then off a couple weeks? Are you working 12-hour shifts? How would it work?
It's, what was the shift? I think it was, you have your normal 8 and then you have your extra 2, your 10 hours. And then sometimes if you have to go over because you're chasing a group or whatnot, it was possible. But at the time they had a thing called AUO. I think it was allowed uncontrollable overtime, and so it was an extra 15% in your pay just so you had to do that extra 2 hours after your shift. But it was a rotating schedule, so for a month or so, I think it was a month and a half or so, you would be night shift, and then you rotate to swings, and then you rotate to days. This is just Eagle Pass. Some areas might have a different rotation system, but I'm just only speaking for the Eagle Pass area. So when you're on days, when you first get the shift, it's pretty good because as the sun's coming up, that's when the action usually happens. Towards the swing shift, it's usually kind of a dead shift because it's so much light. Why move any kind of traffic during that time? But it does happen, And then night shift is where most of the action happens. As soon as the sun goes down throughout the rest of the night, there's probably going to be some kind of activity happening. And so
you got night vision goggles?
Yeah,
and all that?
well, if you wanted to. Not everyone chose that, right? And depending on where you worked as well, some people were just high point, high vis. That's a form of deterrence that the Border Patrol uses where you're just in a point where you're just sitting there in your vehicle and just kind of observing and waiting for either cameras to detect something or sensors to go off. And so it really depends on where you worked and how you worked the area. A lot of the time in those 2 years, I was working with a couple really good partners that were very active in trying to find something. And so we would find locations, gather some intel, and work on doing layups. And so we kind of get dropped off and sit there for hours and hoping they could cross, high areas of traffic that we know are common. We kind of sit and wait for that. Probably the coolest shit you'll ever do because it's like hunting. You know what I mean? You're you're sitting and you're blind. You know what I mean? You're just God, I got five coming. You're I see him. Here we go. And then you go, bada day. You know what I mean? And then the chase is on. Really cool work.
If I were coming across the border and I saw your ass running at me, I'd be really pissed off about America. I'd be like, this is not what I signed up for. I got a fucking O-lineman coming at me. Jesus Christ.
So I pulled over a dude one time, and it turned out to be a pretty big case, but it was a black dude on the border and going the wrong direction. In all my investigative questions, I knew he was there smuggling. Right? It was
going back to the other side?
Going towards the border. Oh. And I just saw him pulled over and looking at his tires, and I'm like, this doesn't look right. Let me see if he needs help. But also, it's an area that usually picks up dope. So he's already in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I'm like, let me go check this dude. And he's a black kid who in the border town in that area that I was at, there's not a lot of black kids. So there we go. Another suspicion, wow, weird, going the wrong direction. Vehicles parked going the wrong direction. He's in an area that known for dope. And he's a black kid. And it kept sticking out to me. I'm like, this is strange, man. Why is this dude here, this location that always picks up? Okay, I think he's picking up dope, but we'll see. So, hey, man, what's up, man? You need help? He goes, oh, no, man, it was just my tire. I was like, well, which one is it? And so as I'm doing all that, I'm like, hey, what are you doing here, dude? He was like, I was just, and he's not answering. I'm like, I'm going to ask you one more time, big guy. I was like, are you here supposed to pick up dope? He goes, no, bro, no. I was like, I was like, you're lying. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, bro. And he broke down, dude. And he broke down and just started spilling the beans. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm just getting paid to just pick up some load. And I'm just driving up north. I don't know what it is. I'm like, okay.
American?
He's an American dude. Oh, it happens all the time, right? Americans always are the ones who get picked to do this. So he was supposed to pick up this load and head up to San Antonio. I was fortunate enough to be able to break him just for a conversation, right? Just saying, hey, come on, give me the truth, right?
You didn't touch his collarbone?
No, I didn't do nothing. Nothing at all.
Secrets are good here. No one's listening.
I did say at one point, I said, listen, don't try and run because I'll fuck you up. That was my one use of like pure intimidation. At the time, I was fucking jacked and lean. And I was like, I don't want to fight you, big dog, but I'd fuck you up. You know what I mean? So I just told him, I was like, look, don't run. I'm going to go get I'm going to go make a call. If you run, I'm going to fuck you up. He goes, bro, I'm not doing nothing. I was like, okay, good. And we ended up fucking catching the next load and building a really big case on this. And it was part of it. Yeah, a big smuggling kind of
Started
network.
working with you.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah, he started giving us a lot more information, and he started giving us all the contacts that was in his phone that was associated with the pickup. And he was connected to a big drug smuggling kind of ring that happened in San Antonio. And so, just by chance, right place, right time, and I had the right instincts, the experience of knowing that this is a good drop zone, knowing that this dude didn't look familiar to the people that I know in the city, and he looked kind of lost and confused. They call it articulable facts, just based on experience. And then just my questioning was enough to get enough out of him that I knew like I was right. And then boom, it just kind of blew into a big case.
Wow. I don't know if I'm right to make this, to like draw this conclusion. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like outside of two things. Number one, where you're chosen to be stationed, in your case, Eagle Pass. And number two, when you go into a shift, what area of the Eagle Pass you're told to roam. After that, it seems like a lot of the job is very much on you and your decisions.
Yeah.
And where you're looking and what you want to do and what you want to be investigating. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. You kind of choose how you want to work your area.
Yeah.
There's certain areas you cut the drag and you go back and forth. And then you can sit on a high point the rest of the night if you wanted to. Or you can say, I'm just going to park my car here, high vis, and I'm going to go walk to areas that I know are known for trafficking. And hopefully I fall upon something. And so, yeah, you can be as active or inactive as you want. You find the guys on the shift that work at your pace, and you usually connect with them, be like, let's get some shit done. It's fun to fucking try and find drugs, bad dudes carrying a lot of weight. It's fun to try and get yourself into that kind of shit. I really loved it. And it's also fun to try and track someone for 20 miles and eventually catch them, because why are they hiding so bad? Why are they trying to get away so bad? It made me uncomfortable thinking, who are these people? Because it could just be a dude wanting to work, but it also could be that one dude that has connections to Al-Qaeda that I'm going to miss. And so my head was driven to try and chase that. That's where I was driven, like, okay, I got 5 here. Who are these 5? I have no idea. But if at some point one of these dudes is a bad dude, I'd feel like dog shit for letting it go. So I'm going to work this motherfucker until I can't. And that's how a lot of us thought.
How often in those first couple of years did you run into situations where it was kids, or even situations where you just see kids, like they got left there?
Yeah, there was probably, I think a majority of it is kids and mothers. A lot of time was kids and mothers. The quick trips, the ones that you kind of caught. There's guys too, but for the most part, it was a lot of family units during my time, meaning parents and kids coming across at the same time, trying to seek better opportunities. It's the majority of what I did during those 2 years was that. There was drugs here and there, right? There was dope loads here and there, but for the most part, unless you're tracking someone like I said, those 20-mile tracks, those 10-mile tracks, those longer, those are going to be pretty good in shape dudes. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not going to see too many kids walk that far. At some point, if it gets too far and strenuous on the families, they quit and they just come up to the road and you find them and you just take them back to the station. Yeah.
Now, when you run into the drug stuff during those years, you're not in the SOG units yet.
Yeah, no.
So when you run into that though, and you get a determination like, oh, we got Cartel here, are you like required to call them in at that point?
Call them in what sense?
Meaning like get them on the scene as well to take this down if this is a part of a greater
the special
smuggling?
Operations unit? No, the agency.
So you could just do it
the
yourself.
Agency manages the whole thing. Yeah, we're good. We catch plenty of dope and we have no involvement of Borstar, Bortac. Usually, so Bortac and Borstar, we'll get into it more, are very specific missions that they do.
Yeah, let's do it now.
Okay.
I think we're there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's go with Borstar. Borstar is Border Patrol Search, Trauma, and Rescue. Borstar is the closest representation of If you have to connect it to a military special operations unit, it would be the pararescue jumpers. We are medics. Some of them are paramedics. Some of them are austere medics, depending on the level, but they all start at EMT level with the opportunity of doing IVs. And so we're allowed to do IVs and throw tubes intubation, depending on the training. So it's a little bit higher than your regular EMT on a box truck, right? A regular EMT that works fire. We're allowed to do IVs. Most EMTs don't. The only reason that the Border Patrol EMT level is allowed to do that is because we're so far from definitive care. So BORSTAR is medics who are also federal agents. So we shoot, right? So it's probably I can say it's a high level search, trauma, rescue with shooting capabilities. BORTAC is your SWAT. BORTAC is your dogs. These are the dudes who do high risk warrants. These are the dudes who plan any kind of op when it comes to disrupt and dismantle cartel smuggling in the United States of America on the borders. These are the top dogs. They're highly trained. Some of them are snipers. Sometimes they have medical training.
A lot of ex-military in there too. Sometimes,
depending on the years. Not now, right? Back in my time, there was probably half military. Currently, you don't have as many military as you used to.
Why is that?
I don't know, recruiting. I think it's also the change of the time, man. You know what I mean? I don't know. There was, when I go back and speak to them sometimes, and I'm like, hey, if you're military, raise your hand. And I'm like, oh shit, not like it used to be. You know what I mean? But just very high trained dudes, really good shape. You know what I mean? These guys are, these are your top notch kind of level guys. They're trained in all kinds of different things, from breaching. We have dogs. They have bite dogs. They have all kinds of stuff. High level dudes. There's some capabilities that they're doing right now that it's the only one in the nation that are doing it.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.